I was grilling brats by the pier behind my place, the lake air swirling the scent of hickory and pork across the water, when I heard the sharp click of patent leather heels on my gravel walkway. I didn't need to look. I already knew. "Excuse me, Mr. Simon Grady," came the piercing voice of Beverly Linton, president of the Willow Bend Lakes HOA and self-declared empress of the cul-de-sac. "That grill is a fire risk. This whole setup violates Section 8, Article 2 of the HOA guidelines." I didn't bother facing her. Just flipped the bratwurst and let the sizzle answer for me. "Beverly, this is my pier on my land which I pay taxes for. Not HOA property. You're standing on it, actually." She folded her arms and huffed. "Your pier might be on the lake, but you're inside the HOA boundary, which means you follow our rules." I finally turned. "You ever read the plat maps, Beverly? My lot's always been outside your reach. HOA ends 25 feet before my pier." She whipped out her phone, stabbing at it like she was calling in an airstrike. "You want to play smart, Simon? Fine. Let's see what the sheriff thinks." I stared at her, smoke curling between us. "You're calling the cops because I'm grilling sausage? You're breaking HOA fire code. You're trespassing," I shot back. 7 minutes later, a sheriff's SUV rolled up. Deputy Carter stepped out, thumbs hooked in his belt. He looked at me, then Beverly, then the grill. "Evening, Simon. Smells good. Thanks. Want a plate?" Beverly stormed over. "Officer, this man is endangering the neighborhood. There are children. He's violating HOA rules." Carter raised an eyebrow. "On his land?" "Yes." "No," I said, holding up my laminated deed. "Got it right here. Confirmed with the county last year when she tried this before. Pier, yard, and shoreline are all outside HOA jurisdiction. She's trespassing." Carter scanned the paper, then looked at Beverly. "Ma'am, he's right." Her lips went white. "This is outrageous. I'm calling the board." Carter handed my deed back. "You can call whoever you want, but you need to step off his property now." She didn't budge. "Beverly," I said, flipping another brat, "you're standing on land you don't own, trying to enforce rules that don't apply. Keep pushing and I'll start asking how your HOA got access to my land in the first place." She flushed, not sunburn red, but the kind you get when you're caught snooping. "We have easement access," she snapped. "That's funny," I said, "because I checked with zoning last week. That access was never legally filed. Your HOA's been using my land for years without permission." Carter turned to me. "You want to press trespassing charges?" "Not yet. I've got something better planned." Beverly stomped off, heels stabbing the gravel like she was punishing the earth. I turned back to the grill, flipped the last brat, and grinned. That was the last time she'd set foot on my pier without consequences. By sundown, I was on the phone with a lawyer. The eviction notice was already in motion. 3 days after Beverly's dramatic retreat, I woke up to a certified letter duct taped to my mailbox. Not inside, taped across the front like a toddler's ransom note. I peeled it off, half expecting glitter or a spring-loaded insult. The letter had read Willow Bend Lakes Homeowners Association Legal Affairs Committee. The contents were even more ridiculous than the packaging. The HOA was asserting retroactive jurisdiction over my property due to a clerical oversight in their original charter. They demanded I attend a compliance hearing in 72 hours for unauthorized shoreline use, open flames, and community disruption. I stood on my lawn holding the letter like it was radioactive while my neighbor, Pete, rolled by in his golf cart. He nodded at the envelope. "She's at it again. Worse. She's trying to rewrite history. Want me to call my cousin at the assessor's office?" Already on it. But this time I'm making it official. The next morning, I walked into the county recorder's office with a manila folder thicker than Beverly's rulebook. Inside, satellite images, old zoning maps, and a signed affidavit from the original developer stating my lot was never part of the HOA tract. I even found a memo in the county archives. Beverly's HOA had tried to annex lakeside properties 15 years ago, but the petition was denied for lack of support. The clerk flipped through it, eyebrows climbing. "You're sitting on gold here." I wanted on the record, and a certified copy for court. That day, I filed a cease and desist through my attorney. It listed every time the HOA trespassed, sent unlawful notices, or tried to regulate my property. It gave them 10 days to remove any structures they'd installed, including the community security camera on my utility pole. Beverly didn't take it well. By Thursday, 3 board members showed up at my door, led by a guy named Dennis Rourke, vice president of the HOA and owner of a landscaping company that had somehow landed every maintenance contract for 6 years. Dennis had a handshake like a wet noodle, limp, delayed and apologetic. "Simon," he said, "we'd like to resolve this amicably." "Funny. That's not what your letter sounded like." He cleared his throat. "There may have been some overreach. We're hoping to avoid litigation," I finished. He hesitated. "Escalation." I stepped outside and pointed at the camera on the pole. "You've got 72 hours to pull that down or I file for an injunction. After that, I start billing you retroactively for unlawful easement." Beverly's eyes narrowed like she was trying to set me on fire. "You can't just. That camera is on my side of the line. Your own surveyor confirmed it last year when you tried to cite me for unauthorized fencing." Dennis raised a hand. "Let's not get into the weeds. We'll take care of the camera." I nodded. "And the sprinkler box you buried by the pier, that's coming out too." Beverly's mouth opened, but Dennis cut her off. "We'll have it all removed. Just give us until Monday. You've got until Sunday night. After that, I file for damages." They left without another word. I spent the next 2 days documenting everything: video of the sprinkler box being dug up, photos of the camera coming down, screenshots of the HOA website where they'd falsely listed my pier as a shared amenity. My lawyer filed a formal complaint with the state HOA Oversight Board for misrepresentation and unauthorized land use. But the real fireworks came the next week. An anonymous tip, though I'm sure it was Pete's cousin, landed in the County Ethics Commission's inbox. Turns out Dennis had been funneling HOA funds into his landscaping business with padded contracts. $80,000 in tree trimming for a street with 14 trees, $18,000 for seasonal flowers that amounted to a few potted petunias by the clubhouse. By Friday, the county launched a fraud investigation. I watched from my pier as 2 unmarked sedans pulled into the HOA office lot. Beverly was outside directing a crew to install new signage when the agents approached. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I didn't need to. The way she froze, the way her clipboard hit the pavement said it all. One agent handed her a folder, the other pointed to the office. She followed, posture suddenly less queen, more defendant. I didn't grill that night. Just cracked a beer and watched the sunset ripple across the lake, feeling the kind of peace you only get when bullies trip over their own lies. On Monday, I got a written apology from the interim HOA board. Dennis had stepped down pending investigation, and Beverly was relieved of her enforcement duties. They promised to reassess policies and respect all property boundaries as legally defined. But I wasn't done. I filed a civil suit for restitution for unauthorized land use, surveillance, and emotional distress from repeated harassment. My attorney attached the HOA's own letters, photos, and minutes proving they'd knowingly violated my rights for years. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. Meanwhile, I built a short wooden fence at the edge of my property. Not to keep people out, just to make a point. I hung a sign: private property, no trespassing, no exceptions. The next weekend, I hosted a barbecue for the whole street. Everyone but the HOA board came. Even the mail carrier showed up. I had a local band play on the pier and lanterns along the shore. People stayed until midnight, laughing, dancing, eating brats that made grown men tear up. Beverly's house sat dark and silent. By month's end, 3 more board members resigned. The HOA was under a court-appointed audit, and the community started a petition to dissolve it. I didn't start it, but I signed it, first name on the page. By the time the court date arrived, Willow Bend Lakes HOA had gone from a smug little regime to a limping bureaucracy held together by duct tape and denial. Their numbers thinned, meetings went quiet, and residents started to taste life without mandatory paint swatches or Thursday lawn checks. But I wasn't interested in watching them fade. I wanted closure and accountability. The morning of the hearing, I walked into the county courthouse with my attorney, Rachel Kim. She was in her 40s, sharp as a tack, and had spent a decade chewing through municipal mismanagement cases. She carried our files in a hardshell briefcase that snapped open like a vault. We were suing for damages tied to unauthorized land use, surveillance, and repeated harassment. But Rachel had added something else after digging through documents: fraudulent misappropriation of funds through fake maintenance invoices. That last one had teeth. The HOA's lawyer was a jittery man in a wrinkled blazer named Alan Pierce. He kept fiddling with his tie like it might save him from the avalanche of evidence Rachel had prepared. Beverly was notably absent. She'd resigned the week before, citing personal health reasons, in a letter full of flowery